So today we're going to be evaluating a patient on the ProAdjuster. Some people have an aversion to getting adjusted only because they've either never had an experience or because they've had a poor experience. Now the good news is that anybody can get an adjustment with the instrument, and it's nice, safe, effective, and very gentle. So whether you're a child, someone who sustained a major injury like a fracture after an automobile accident, or you just have a squeamish sense about getting adjusted, the good news is that we can do this with the instrument, and it's very safe and it's very gentle. So essentially what we do is we scan the spine first. When I find a misalignment, I adjust the segment with the instrument. So you can see it sounds loud, but it's actually quite safe. So this would be the lumbar scan all the way down to the sacrum. And then based on our readings, I'll determine where I'm going to adjust. And the adjustment takes place right here. Now, oftentimes we'll find when there's a misalignment that there will also be some muscular tension, and we want to address those as well. So we can do that with the instrument. So we're going to work a little bit on her lower back and do some pressure points. This helps unlock some of the segments of her spine. And as you can see, it stops on its own. So it can detect when the muscle has actually given way and relaxed. So what I want to do is explain to you now how it is that this instrument works. Okay, so the spine has three functions, which is to bear your weight. It allows for motion. That's why you have 24 movable bones that make up the spinal column. But the most important function that the spine has is to actually house and protect the spinal cord. So the brain's what controls and coordinates everything that happens in your body. And the way that it does that is by sending signals down the spinal cord through the nerves that go to all the organs, tissues, and cells. And then those organs, tissues, and cells communicate by sending messages back up to the brain. So that's how the body knows what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and at what speed to do it. Have these things called muscles that attach directly to the structure. And when the muscles contract, either because you coughed, you sneezed, you lifted something heavy, you had an injury, an accident, you had a baby, it could be just environmental stressors, the muscles tend to contract. And if you're right-handed, you're going to be stronger on the right side. If you're left-handed, you're going to be naturally stronger on the left. So what happens is there's a tug of war that ensues between the two sides, between the right and the left side. And typically the stronger side wins. So if you're right hand dominant, it's going to pull a little bit more. Now the key here is that there's really not a lot of room for those nerves to exit. So any small shift in the alignment can really irritate and compress those nerves. So that's what I'm looking for. With this instrument, I can actually analyze each segment of the spine. And as I'm analyzing each segment of the spine, these bars are showing up. So that tells me what areas are in alignment and out of alignment. As we scan her spine, we want to make sure that they all fall within a certain range. If I see anything out of range, then that's what I'm going to focus on, and that's what I'm going to adjust. Here, her sacrum was out of alignment. That can cause lower back pain. It could shoot down the legs. It can affect some of the organs of the body. So it can affect the large intestines, the bladder, the reproductive system, the prostate. So I'm more concerned about not only where the site of pain is, but what nerve is being irritated and compressed, and how could that adversely affect the body over a long period of time. So when a patient comes to me, it's not just about the symptom, it's also about the long-term consequences of having compressed nerves in the spine. I want to point out that the brain here conducts 3 million messages every second. And anytime there's a misalignment, it basically slows down the messages coming from the brain to the body and back and forth. Now, when we call that a subluxation, and a subluxation is simply a misalignment that puts pressure on a nerve and it slows everything down. And I kind of like to make reference to a fender bender on the turnpike or I-95 in the middle of rush hour. So it just brings everything, it just slows everything down. Okay, so that's why we want to make sure that we remove any subluxations. So let's say she has a misalignment of the spine. That's called a subluxation, as you can see here, okay? So instead of having proper nerve flow, 3 million messages coming back and forth, a misalignment would pretty much put pressure on the disc, put pressure on the nerve, and then slow down the information highway. Now what happens over time is that it could lead to degenerative changes. So it starts with a misalignment, and then it worsens and leads to some disc changes, some nerve atrophy, and eventually it could lead to some fusion. Now, the causes of these misalignments can occur by stress. So stress could be physical, like the birthing process. It could be sleeping in the wrong position. It could be injuries or accidents. It could be improper lifting or falling. It could also be stress related to home, to work, to children, to spouses, to whatever stresses you out in the world. And then of course the environmental stuff. So even if you don't smoke and you're around secondhand smoke, that can have an adverse effect. It could be excessive use of medication. Sometimes, you know, the consequences of taking medication have other consequences. So it fixes one thing, but it can mess up a few other things. It could be excessive use of alcohol. So I'm sure you guys don't have a six-pack for breakfast, but if you did, it could be a problem. The other thing, it could be air pollution and water pollution. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but Florida has the second worst water in the nation. So we believe in drinking clean water, and if you can, Kangen water, which is electrically reduced water. It's a healing type of water. And then, of course, viruses, bacteria, fungus, mold, exposure to that can have an adverse effect on your immune system as well. So we take a look at all those different components, and those are the ways you get subluxated. And the more stressors you have, the more it's going to have a negative impact on your health. So you can take a deep breath in and blow it all the way out. Nice, relax. Beautiful. Awesome. Turn on your side facing. Deep breath in and all the way out. Nice. Turn over. Ooh, music to my ears. So if you have any questions regarding an adjustment or safe adjustments or gentle adjustments like with the ProAdjuster, if you've been injured, you have a rib fracture and there's a contraindication because you're on certain medications to getting adjusted manually, just know that we're here to help you. And in addition to doing the traditional manual adjustments, we also do low force techniques that are very helpful and very efficient. So thanks for watching.